thank our witnesses for the evidence they've given us, and in doing so declare my own interests as Vice Chair of the All-Party Groups on the Uyghurs and Hong Kong. Can I take our witnesses back to what they've both said about the importance of promoting a more rules-based system and what's just been said about the dangers of economic dependence? Given genocide and slave labor in Xinjiang and the freezing last week of $500 million of assets in Hong Kong of Jimmy Lai, an imprisoned British citizen, and reports that China now owns £135 billion of assets in the United Kingdom, including critical national infrastructure, what consequences does all this have on the way that we do business with China? And if you were advising the UK government today, what actions would you propose it should take on economic cooperation with China? Thank you.
So we save the easiest one, of course, to last, just the reverse. But Dr. Yueh, if I may go to you.
I would probably propose three things. One is to strengthen the value basis of UK foreign policy to uphold, for instance, no use of forced labor in supply chains. And the UK must have a foreign policy which is going to uphold its values. A second, remember it's multifaceted, I would say. A second facet of this is that we need an economic diplomacy framework that is transparent about how non-economic issues fits in with economic policy. So, for instance, the UK will, just taking an example, scrutinize foreign investment based on its own non-economic interests, these values and principles that we've discussed in certain strategic sectors. It's about transparency. It's about having a framework that lets our partners know where we stand and how we judge and how we trade and how we invest. And then finally, again, multifaceted with China, I would still focus on shared interests. So climate change is the one that we have discussed quite a lot. I would broaden it out to global public goods, including global health. And as many of your witnesses had said throughout your sessions, and indeed what we've discussed today, is if we're going to make progress on climate, we need to appeal to shared interests with China on this issue. And then if I can just kind of squeeze in a bit more on the strategy, the UK, I think, can play a role in formulating global rules based on technical expertise. And I want to be quite clear here. Even though we live in a world in which conflates economic and non-economic, as we've been discussing, lots of issues get politicized and lots of them should be politicized, actually. There are quite a lot of global rules that should govern the 21st century world economy, which just are increasingly fragmented. By bringing together private sector expertise, by bringing together variable networks of countries with shared interests in formulating those rules, we can help make progress towards improving the multilateral rules-based system. And that would encourage all countries to be responsible stakeholders. And again, I've said this about 5 times. I think we're in a good position to do this because we're not the United States. And this is a massive change to how the 20th century global governance was done. We're the superpowers and we're just in a different era.
Thank you. And Professor Liang, over to you.
Sure, I will be brief here. I think I would emphasize 2 things. One is that when the UK is dealing with a rising power like China, a non-Western country, which has not necessarily shared many of the political beliefs, I think it's really important to be pragmatic in the sense that we are living in this world that in certain areas that the UK will cooperate and certain areas will compete, and certain areas probably, the 2 countries disagree with each other. And I think based on that, building a coalition, not just with the United States, but with a large number of other countries, and through the coalition building and trying to negotiate with China and trying to better understand, each other's disagreements. I think that is very important. A firm confrontation, economic sanction against, the 2nd largest economy in the world today seems to be unrealistic, and it's very difficult to be effective. So I think consultation, negotiation, dialogue, those are really much better diplomatic means to, to help each other to better understand each other.